You don't leave dramatically. There's no big fight, no final argument, no tearful goodbye. One day, you just stop responding. You pull back quietly. You create distance so slowly that the other person barely notices until you're completely gone. And the strange thing is, it doesn't feel cruel to you. It feels necessary. You've done this before, with friends, with family, with people you once loved deeply. And every time, some part of you wonders, why do I always end up here? Not angry, not bitter, just done. People call it cold. They say you're avoidant, difficult, that you give up too easily on people. But they're missing something important. You didn't cut those people off because you stopped caring. You cut them off because you did, because something in the relationship slowly stopped feeling safe, because you were giving more than you were receiving, because you noticed a pattern and your mind quietly said, enough. This isn't a character flaw. This is a coping mechanism, and it has a psychological name. Researchers call it deactivating strategy. A pattern commonly linked to avoidant attachment styles, first identified in the groundbreaking work of psychologist John Bowlby and later expanded by Cindy Hazan and Philip Shaver. When someone develops an avoidant attachment style, their nervous system learns, usually early in life, that emotional closeness comes with a cost, that needing people leads to disappointment, that, depending on others, is unsafe. So the brain builds a defense. It learns to suppress attachment needs, to create emotional distance before the pain can arrive. Cutting people off isn't random. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do: protect you. But here's what the research also shows. People who habitually withdraw don't feel nothing. Studies using physiological measurements found that avoidantly attached individuals actually experience high levels of internal distress. They've simply learned to hide it, even from themselves. You feel more than people think. You just stop showing it. And this almost always starts in childhood. Maybe you had a caregiver who was emotionally inconsistent, present one moment, distant the next. You never knew which version of them you'd get, so you stopped reaching out altogether. Maybe expressing your needs was met with dismissal, or irritation, or silence. So you learned to swallow them, to become self-sufficient, to need no one. Maybe you watched the adults around you hurt each other, and your young mind made a decision. The only way to not get hurt is to not get too close. That decision protected you then. You needed it. But you're still making the same decision now, even when the people in front of you are nothing like the ones who hurt you. Here's the part that's hard to hear. Sometimes, cutting someone off is genuinely the right choice. Some people are toxic. Some relationships are one-sided. Some connections run their natural course, and letting them go is healthy. But sometimes, you cut people off because intimacy got too real, because they saw too much of you, because the relationship was actually becoming something meaningful, and that scared you more than any conflict ever could. Psychologist Ken Levy describes this as approach avoidance conflict. You want closeness, and the moment it starts happening, something inside you pulls the emergency brake. Not because the person failed you, but because closeness itself feels dangerous. And the loneliness that follows, that quiet, hollow feeling after you've pushed everyone away, that's not peace. You know that, even if you tell yourself it is. But here's what I want you to understand. The part of you that cuts people off is not broken. It is brilliant. It was created by a younger version of you who needed to survive something, who needed to feel in control when everything else felt chaotic, who found a way to protect their heart when no one else would. That part of you is not your enemy. The work, and it is real work, is learning to tell the difference between a relationship that genuinely needs to end and a relationship your nervous system is sabotaging because it doesn't know yet that you're safe. You are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to walk away from what drains you. And you are also allowed to stay, to let someone in, to find out what happens when you don't disappear. If you've cut almost everyone off at some point, you're not a bad person. You're a person who learned that love comes with conditions, that people leave, that getting close means getting hurt. And your mind did the only logical thing. It started leaving first. That made sense once, it kept you safe, but you don't have to keep doing it forever. The pattern can change, slowly, imperfectly, one relationship at a time. You were never the problem. You were always the person trying to survive one.